This is Jonathan, also known as BD from BlenderDude.com. I've got what I think should be a fairly quick video for us today. This will be at least the third time on video that I've made peanut butter with the Blendtec Total Blender. And the reason I'm doing it today, yet again, is because we're going to show you the fastest way to make it in the WildSide container. If you're familiar with my other videos making peanut butter with this machine, you'll recall the first time I made it was in a 5-part comparison video series comparing the Total Blender with the Vitamix 5200. And at that time, the 4-side container was the only container that Blendtec made available. Subsequent to that video, Blendtec came out with their twister jar, and that dramatically cut down on the amount of time it took to make peanut butter with that container. However, today the most common container that comes with just about any any Blendtec package is the WildSide container. You can still get the 4-side and the twister jar separately, but if all you want is just the WildSide container, this is probably going to be of some benefit to you and showing you how to make peanut butter, because it is, in what I've come to conclude, about the fastest way to make it with this container. Now, before I get too much further, I want to credit a BlenderDude.com viewer for being the inspiration behind this video. Joseph Long wrote me one day with his methodology for creating peanut butter in the WildSide container, and though this video will not replicate his method identically, it was the inspiration behind the making of the video. In all my trials and experimenting with the 4-side container with blend cycles and various speeds, I was always using 2 cups of peanuts. The key with the WildSide, I've since come to learn, is using 3 cups, and that makes sense given the volume increase in the WildSide, especially down towards the base where the jar gets wider, as well as the nice big 4-inch blade that comes with the WildSide container. So if you're going to make peanut butter in the WildSide container, I recommend using at least 3 cups instead of 2 or fewer like you'll see in all my previous videos. And the steps are really simple. We're going to load the peanuts. We're not going to add any extra oil or salt like some recipes call for. And then from that point, it can be as simple as 2 quick steps from there. So let's get to it real quickly. We're just going to load our container with 3 cups, and the WildSide container is measured on the side in cups, so you don't have to guess. So make sure you've got a nice level reading. We'll go a few more. Now from this point, there can be as few as 2 steps. What we're going to do is start out on the lowest manual speed, which is obviously speed 1. You've got manual controls on the Blendtec as well as your blend cycles. We're going to bypass the blend cycles. Even though we've got a cycle for spreads, we're going to bypass that one. We're going to go to speed 1, and we're just going to let the cycle complete. Now, when I say let the cycle complete, I mean as long as you see that the nuts are actively being churned in the blade, you want to let the cycle just run to its completion. If at any point during the cycle, however, you see that the nuts have stopped reaching the blade, in other words, the blade has created a path such that no nuts are actually touching the blade as it spins, which is common for thick recipes and frozen recipes, then you can manually stop the machine, take your spatula, and just kind of redirect those nuts back into the center of the blade or the center of the container, at which point you'll want to start the cycle over again. But hopefully we won't have to do that, but if we do, that'll be the reason why. So let's go ahead and start the machine. Again, it's going to be manual speed 1, and we will let that run for the full 50 seconds if possible. Okay, it stopped on its own, and that's exactly what we wanted to see. At no time did the nuts stop being blended, so we just let the cycle run to its completion. At this point, what you want to do is take a spatula and quickly just kind of redirect the nut butter back in towards the center of the container. And this is just going to take a matter of seconds. That's really all there is to it. And now at this point we're going to start the machine again, and this time we're just going to go to speed 3. Now we can let, depending on how crunchy or smooth we want the peanut butter to be, we can let this cycle run until it stops, or we can stop it at any time during the cycle. And again, that all depends on if you like your peanut butter on the more crunchy side or the more smooth side. I'm kind of somewhere in between. I like a little bit of texture in mine. But we'll just gauge it. We'll play it by ear or sight and stop it whenever we feel like it's right for us. Again, go to speed 3 now on the manual controls. Okay, 2 full cycles and this peanut butter is completely ready. Nice and smooth. Let me show you in fact how smooth it is. You'll see it. You should be able to see it actually pour out of the container. That's how smooth it is. Spread it on this piece of bread a little bit. Give you a close-up of it. And there you have it. Fresh peanut butter made in the Blendtec Total Blender with the WildSide container using nothing but peanuts. Again, a big thanks to Joseph Long. If you have any questions about what you've seen or any other questions on high performance blenders, send me an email at bd@blenderdude.com or visit blenderdude.com, and at any part of the website you will find a comment section where you can ask your questions or post your comments there. Until the next video, this is Jonathan. This is Jonathan, also known as BD from blenderdude.com. I've got what I think should be a fairly quick video for us today. This will be at least the 3rd time on video that I've made peanut butter with the Blendtec Total Blender. And the reason I'm doing it today, yet again, is because we're going to show you the fastest way to make it in the WildSide container. If you're familiar with my other videos making peanut butter with this machine, you'll recall the first one. The first time I made it was in a 5-part comparison video series comparing the Total Blender with the Vitamix 5200. And at that time, the 4-side container was the only container that Blendtec made available. Subsequent to that video, Blendtec came out with their twister jar.